I have a DM friend, a dungeon master for the game Dungeons and Dragons, and one of their favorite games to play is make a character that coincides with the core beliefs of the party, but is unlikable. And this isn't the same thing as making a flanderized character or self. This isn't the same thing as making a strawman to poke fun at an ideology or self. No, this person is a genuine believer of this ideology, stands for many of the things that the party does, and even pushes those concepts, pushes those agendas out. And it's really funny because in their experimentation, very rarely has the party ever not sabotaged them or not worked with them when they could have worked better together. Very often, despite these two characters having the same ideology, by virtue of not liking them, the character will not work with this problem character, with this unlikable person. And sure, it's D&D, so there is a degree of separation. We are able to treat these people, these unlikable people who are on our same side, as NPCs, as figures who do not exist in our real world. There's a sense of fiction, there's a degree of separation there that makes us able to mistreat them or otherwise affirm our own character's beliefs in a way that is opposite or away from them. But that degree of separation isn't exclusive to games, to tabletop. I don't know if you've ever looked at the comments of a YouTube section, but I have a hard time feeling as though people would genuinely talk to each other that way if they were face to face. On the internet, there is a degree of separation between two people at any given time. By virtue of not knowing someone else, we are surrounding ourselves with parasocial relationships built on our perception of this mask, of this idea, of this presentation of another person instead of knowing them personally. And we're not meant to know more than 100 people, sincerely. We're not meant to know more than 50 people really, really closely. But impressions are important. Impressions matter. And sure, we shouldn't fuss over another person's impression of us. We shouldn't be so incredibly worried. We shouldn't obsess over it. But I think it would be an overcorrection to say that, oh, likability doesn't matter. So long as you're true to yourself, so long as you're true, then that's all that matters. I think of Wulbren from Baldurs Gate 3. If you're not familiar with them, Wulbren is the kind of character who would, in their own universe, be a hero. Who would, if they were the title character, be the main character. Wulbren is a deep gnome freedom fighter. They work to emancipate their people from indentured servitude to the city of Baldurs Gate. When captured and put to work by an evil cult, they are the one who is planning a prison break and already doing as best as they can with the materials at hand. They are heroic. If you heard them just by their accolades, you would follow through with them. You would perhaps follow them to the ends of the earth. They have that kind of wolfish charisma. But as a player character, I think we are met with them at an unflattering angle. Before we meet Wulbren, we meet Wulbren's friend who wants to save them, who notes that Wulbren's been missing on their crusade and wants to make sure that they're okay. And if you are at all interested in Wulbren's friend, quote-unquote, by the time the two of you meet at some point, the three of you meet even, Wulbren tells them squarely to go away because they're too busy doing more important things. And a lot of people had a really big knee-jerk reaction to this. I think some of us prize friendliness and friendship over actually getting stuff done at times. And the interactions with Wulbren Bongle of Baldurs Gate is really interesting because it goes back to my DM friend's experiment where sometimes it doesn't matter how good you are. If people just get the wrong vibes from you, if they don't like you, they would go as far as to throw you under the mud or throw you into the dirt or sabotage you off of likability alone. Should we be designing ourselves, making our personalities around the people who demand something of us and otherwise would hurt us otherwise, the bottom 1% of personalities? No. No. That would be an overcorrection again. I feel like I say a lot of things on this channel that by virtue of being a one-take 10-minute talk are underdeveloped. So I'd really love to hear how you would balance likability, or how you'd even interact with include that, because I think the idea that we're fine just as we are at all times, I don't know. The phenomenon is just funny, I think. Towards the end of this video, I'm looking at my work and going like, on the through line, I'm looking going, what am I telling people? To compromise the self in order to be funny, to be nice, to be interesting? Certainly that is advice that I might put upon myself, but it's not something I'd want to see out of other people. It's not something I want to proliferate. It reminds me similarly to another conversation I had with all of you earlier. Is this then a conversation about resilience, of being who you are aside of that? Because I also don't believe that either. I think if you prize being yourself, and yourself happens to be an unlikable Jork, I don't think that there's much value in keeping that. I think there is value in community and interacting, and you don't need to compromise yourself necessarily to fit in that space. The compromises you make don't have to necessarily be ones that entirely rewrite who you are. It's like, going back to D&D, if your character is an acerbic, antisocial Jork, all you need to do to stay in the party is to agree every now and then, to hold your tongue every now and then. Being 98% authentic, while also being appropriate for a space, will lend people to think of you as an ally, will make you agree with them, will make those people, ding ding ding, 10 minutes,